Hello, I'm Alfred Grant from Television and Radio Techniques. We're here today to share some high-powered, high-valued information with you that could transform you from being somewhat scared or fearful of speaking to television or radio, and to replace that fear with greater knowledge that could give you more confidence so that you could get your voice out into the world and share your story about the successes of your business, or how you're supporting your customers, or how you're achieving excellence in all aspects of your business. Now, I actually believe there are just three things at this stage that could prevent you from speaking coherently and logically and confidently on the media. And these are the three things we'll focus on to begin with. Firstly, speed. The media operates in very, very fast. A story breaks, they expect you to speak within the next hour. You may not be ready, and because of that, you might be coerced to speak before you are totally ready and before you've really planned and prepared what you want to say. Secondly, immediacy. You're performing on the broadcast media, television and radio. The man and woman at home is listening to you straight away. Because of that, you might feel that the best way to perform is in a pre-recorded interview. Well, to be frank, that's not the best way to perform, because from an editorial point of view, whatever you say in a live context is broadcast. But when it goes into the world of pre-record, you're actually giving more control over to the editor and the producers of any TV or radio program. Thirdly, skills. Now, if you don't have the right level of skills that can help you to master the storytelling and to master how to handle the reporter, these two will probably be uppermost in your mind. But there are some specific skills that you must have in order for you to perform well, consistently on the media. So let's now turn away from these concerns or these challenges that could stimulate fears in your mind and move over to what we think are the most important aspects of speaking on the media. Number one, you need to develop the right kind of mental attitude so that when you are appearing on the media, you can deliver a message, a story consistently, time and time and time and time again. So, how do you begin to develop that? One, respect the journalist. It doesn't mean doff your cap and be overly nice to them and be overly deferent to them. No, respect the fact that he or she is merely turning up to do one thing, which is to do their job. That does not mean you've got to like them or love them or expect a bit of a love-in. No, respect that their job is identifying stories, seeking out expert information from you, and then they go away and they start to write that story. Second thing to help you develop the right attitude is you start to take charge. And this means it's your responsibility for what you say and for how you say what you plan to say. It's not the journalist's responsibility to ensure that they get the story from you, other than the story they want to write about. You've got to make sure that if it's something you want to share with your audience, that you begin to say it. So begin to take charge. Thirdly, remember, you are the experts. The journalist is an expert at asking questions. The journalist is an expert at writing the story and making that story relevant, interesting, meaningful for the audience who are going to consume it either in a newspaper or on TV or radio. Now, this can mean that the journalist might ask you what you might perceive to be overly simplistic questions. Well, that's because you're the expert and you know things about your topic that they've never heard about. And they're also trying to make the story interesting from the point of view of the man and woman at home. And because of that, they may not be interested in that overly detailed information that you've got. So please don't assume that because they ask you these simplistic questions that they are stupid, because then you might be acting overly arrogant, and that arrogance might display in a negative way to the audience, so the audience no longer trusts and believes you when you respond to that journalist's questions. So to get that right attitude, you must develop respect for the journalists. They're just doing a job. 2, you start to take charge of what you want to say. It's your responsibility to make sure you say what you need to say. 3, that you remember that you are the experts. This will give you that internal confidence and that strength that you've got something that's good to say and good to hear, and that's why you should be on the media, sharing your voice and your knowledge. So, skills. Once you have the right skills and you begin to master these skills at will, they can be used in all aspects of your communication. Not just for television, not just for radio, and not just for the newspapers. But for when you speak up to your people, you can use these same skills. When you go out doing your networking, you can use these same skills. But what you must do is you must master these skills. So let's break them down into 3 things that you need to do to perform well in your next television or radio interview. Number 1, preparation. Now, from my previous days my incarnation as a journalist and a presenter, then we perform an interview and we can tell when someone has actually planned and organized what they want to say. That also means we can tell when someone has not planned and organized what they want to say. And so you must accept the responsibility for not winging it in your interview. Winging it doesn't do it because of that speed. It starts and it ends on the broadcast media, and therefore the only way you can perform well in that situation is you must prepare your story. You must know the golden nuggets of what you want to get across. That's what you must do. And if you do that to the best of your ability, your nerves will dissipate, and eventually over time they will diminish and they will be eliminated from your performance. But if you don't do the prep, then your nerves will take over your performance. So please take the time to prepare your story. And what you will outline and prepare is a key message to begin with, a key message to end with, and at least 2 or 3 critical points that you must say within the main body of an interview. Once you've done that, we now need to encase it into something which becomes accessible for the man and woman at home, or the experts to whom you are delivering your information. Normal, simple, everyday words. In the words of the media, we call this journalese. And because it appears to be simple and straightforward, it becomes fluent and flowing. It means that anybody who's watching whatever we broadcast, they can understand it first time. And one of the challenges of performing well on TV and radio is making sure that whatever you say is simple and it's golden. And so we would advise you the best way is use normal, simple, everyday words. 3rd bit, control. This is the big one, to be frank. This is the big one. If you understand about taking responsibility for your interview and you begin to take charge, this bit is a bit that underpins everything that you do. This bit begins to give you authority. So how do you actually begin to use these things that we call controls and rebuttals? Well, when you receive a question from a reporter, as an illustration, if you believe that the question from that reporter is inaccurate, you say things such as, I disagree, or we don't see it that way, or frankly, that might be your view, but we don't see it in the same way as you. These things are what we call rebuttals. And these are important for you to use because what you don't want to do is run away from questions. Once you begin to run away from a question, it sends an overly negative perception into the minds of the audience at home. And because of that, they now think, well, we don't trust a word that you're saying. So we don't want you to run away. We want you to meet the question head on by using these things we call the rebuttals, and they'll give you power, authority, and confidence. And that will allow you to stay absolutely locked solid and focused on the real message and story that you want to say to the audience at home. Okay? So, to round things up, right here, right now, 1, it's time for you to share your message, your story, your thoughts, and your opinions about your business. Because however the economy is right now, is a brilliant time for you to get your voice out there and talk to your customers and talk to prospective customers. Because if you're not doing it, your competition might be. And if they're doing it better than you, what happens to your market share? So don't be bashful about standing up and about organizing your story. And if you don't know what your story is, start to organize that story now. And if you need help and support, come and check out our solutions on media communications. The best way to do that is give us a call. Ring this number, 0114-287-3170. That's 0114-287-3170. We'll look forward to seeing you very soon. All the best. Bye-bye.